The situation in the ground actually is very catastrophic. We are still counting how many of these people died after the President Kagame decided to attack Goma. Yesterday, the first number we get was telling us that there were more than 2,000 people who've been killed and more than 3,000 who've been hurt, and some of them need to have some close treatments. And we are hoping that no one will die between those 3,000 people. That the situation in the ground, it's very dramatic, and that the urgent question for the government. We are working to find a way to send them some assistance to make sure those we need to be treated can be treated with all the medicine we can send from Kinshasa. I don't think we should speak about M23. M23 doesn't exist. It's a proxy group used by the President Kagame. As you can see,
which European countries have the lowest tax?
Who operated in Goma was one and different. M23 doesn't exist. It's a proxy group used by the President Kagame. As you can see, the video, those who operated in Goma was one and different forces. Even if the President Kagame is losing a bit his memory by saying that he doesn't know if there is any troop of his army inside DRC, it's clear that for us, M23 doesn't exist. And as government, we will do our best to make sure we don't keep our population under the control of those people who are there to bring terror and to kill some of them. So we will do our best to make sure our population are safe. So if we need to retake Goma, we will do what we have to do as government to make sure we give security to our population. The best way to protect civilians now is to ask President Kagame to leave DRC, because it's him and his army who's operating in this part of DRC. Those proxies doesn't have power, doesn't have ammunition, doesn't have those weapons to do what they've been doing in the past days, not only in Goma, but in the neighborhood of this city. So it's simple. The best way to protect our civilians is to make sure the President Kagame left him and his troop in this part of our territory so we can take care of our own population. First, we would like to recognize that United Nations were particularly following the situation, especially with the MONUSCO, the office here in Kinshasa. And as you have seen, I think in 48 hours, we have two special sessions in the UN Security Council where my foreign affairs colleague explained very well the situation in the ground. I'm not sure African Union is doing more. Because even the press release the statement made by his president wasn't enough to condemn clearly what Rwanda is doing as activities. Should I remember you that some peacekeepers were killed, some military were killed from SAMI RDC, which is a mission with an official mandate from African Union. So there is a lot to be done, but because today the only thing we can do to make the process move is to sanction the President Kagame, because what he's doing is what you cannot do, especially when you have international law, especially when you are member of institutions like African Union or United Nations. Past days with all the ambassador or people from those respective countries. And today, the only thing they have to do, despite the fact that they have to strongly condemn what Kagame is doing, but they should put sanction on the table, because how can you understand that during the day, an army starting a special operation in another country, he brings more than 10,000 of his soldiers inside our territory, attacking displaced camp, hospitals, schools, and etc. It's not acceptable. That's why we are praising all those countries. We are asking all those countries, just because we need to respect international law, to act strongly against President Kagame. That's the only way he can stop what he's doing inside DRC. That's another lie. How can you explain that they are now in Goma? In Goma, you don't have, you have Tutsi. They are not majority in Goma. there's a lot of tribes and Congolese ethnic everywhere in DRC. So there is no what we call in English hate speech in this country. And then even if the President Kagame is presenting himself as the protector of Tutsi community, how come he can kill people from other community by trying to protect another community? How come him as president of Rwanda knows what the genocide was about? How come the victim today become those who are killing people? It means that the President Kagame keep lying in the situation in DRC because he wants to protect his economic interest. All these wars, he's doing it because he wants to put his hand, to keep his hand on our mineral resources, especially in this part of DRC. We have strategic mineral like the treaty, who are very useful today for our phones or for our computer. That's why he's doing this war. M23, as I was telling you before, doesn't exist. There is no hate speech in DRC. We have 450 different tribes. So we live, all of us, peacefully in our country. This should stop. That's why the president must stop it, must be stopped today. Currently, we started actions against Apple, and I think you heard about, because we know some of the top company, high technology.
Hey, business owner, please do not sell.
Apple receive some of stopped, must be stopped today. Currently, we started actions against Apple, and I think you heard about, because we know some of the top company, high technology company, Apple receive some of those mineral resources from some provider in the ground, and most of these natural work because of Rwanda, because Rwanda is making sure they kept all those money which come from this, what I can say, this exchange or trade of our mineral resources. One thing is clear now, that we did a lot of studies about what kind of business they are making there, and we are trying to attack each of those who are benefiting from this production, this illegal production supported by Rwandan government. On December 15, we were in Rwanda with the President Tshisekedi, and on the table we had the former President of Kenya, President Uhuru Kenyatta. It means that we spent almost 2 years, more than 2 years, talking with Rwandan, with Angola in the middle. On December 15, it was the last day where the three presidents should sign a document to stop the conflict in the eastern part of DRC. One part was that. The second part was that the President Uhuru Kenyatta, who was chosen by head of state of Eastern African Community to lead the political process, should continue the conversation with these different armed groups, including M23. So that was the solution on the table on December 15. The one who decided to not join the meeting was the Rwandan president, and we know what happened after, because he was only planning to continue to kill people in eastern part of DRC, so he could be happy to keep his hands on our mineral resources. So today, we are listening to all those messages calling for peace. We agree with that, but people, President Kagame should be asked to come to finish what we have started. But before getting there, he should pay for the crimes and for all those war crimes his troop committed in Goma recently by attacking peacekeeper, by attacking displaced camp, and by killing people, innocent people. We need, of course, to have dialogue, to have peace back in the region. That's why we have the Luanda processes with the Angolan president. We are listening, people are speaking about like ceasefire, but we have the Luanda processes with the Angolan president, one part. That's why we have the political process with the former president of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta, in the other side. Here, there is one person who is today, we can be considered today as the one we don't like peace in the region. His name is President Kagame. Or can you imagine that yesterday was saying to the world that he doesn't know if there is any of military in DRC? The world have seen the way his military were operating or are still operating in eastern part of the DRC. Even today, we are listening, people are speaking about like ceasefire, but it's not true, because at the same time, we have seen more than 200 or 300 Rwandan military coming in Goma. Our position was attacked somewhere around Lubero in the northern part of North Kivu. It's clear here there is one guy who doesn't like peace in the region. His name is the President Kagame, and the world should push him, put pressure on him so he can get back to the table, so we can find a definitive solution for the problem in the East. But what I've heard yesterday from the health minister was 2,000 killed. I think there is civilian and military there. And I think in this number, you cannot have the number of Rwandan soldiers, because what the President Kagame do with his troop is that when one of his military died, they took his body quickly to bring it back to Rwanda. And even there, the family are not aware that their son, their beloved son, died in DRC, because there is a kind of omerta where they never speak about their loss once they've been engaging against our military in front. The truth is that today I think we are working on to have an international investigation so we can really be able to know how many people who died in that during this period, and what the consequence of it, and the need for us to bring justice in this part of the DRC. So all the perpetrators of those massacres should answer, should respond before the justice because of what they have done. The situation in the ground is very dramatic. Even if we as government, we are working, following the situation closely with the health minister, there is risk. There is risk of course, some epidemic. We have mpox around that zone. We have Ebola.
I love Monday.com.
What's Monday.com?
You don't know.
Dead bodies people are finding in the way. There is some risk. That's why it's an emergency today to make sure we are doing our best to monitoring the situation and to be able to respond quickly so we can protect the population of Goma to get some epidemics and other diseases. Of course, there is risk, especially if the President Kagame is not stopping, because he is the one who won the war with all the neighboring countries. He has this kind of offensive language, not only with DRC, not only with South Africa, but included Burundi too. So that's why today there is much more to be done by international community to stop the President Kagame intention to bring war in this part of the region, where young people just need to make sure they are exchanging, they are doing business, so they are working for the prosperity of our respective country. One of the questions we've been discussing with European Union, because we don't think there is a need for them to have in that condition a memorandum of understanding with Rwanda. The whole world knows that Rwanda doesn't have coltan inside as mineral resources, but the whole world can notice that Kagame is one of the top producers of this mineral, this strategic mineral. So today it looks like some country in the European Union are not only protecting President Kagame, but they are they can be seen as those who are supporting this kind of bad exploitation of our mineral resources. That's why if you have to add the fact that President Kagame is killing innocent people in that region, European Union should review its policies, should review its relationship with Rwanda in order to put pressure on Rwanda so Rwanda can become a country we can work for peace to, not only for war, not only for stealing mineral resources from the DRC. There is no colonial roots on that conflict. We have that conflict because one guy, his name is President Kagame, thinks that he should continue to build this country by stealing mineral resources from the eastern part of the DRC. Let me remember you that in 1994, we have genocide in Rwanda, which is very sad for humanity. But international community requested DRC government to open its border to make sure we offer the hospitality to Rwandan people who've been fleeing the genocide or the massacre in Rwanda. That was the beginning of all those bad news we've been having in DRC for the past 30 years. So today, the President Kagame cannot come and pretend that the origin of this crisis comes from colonial era. No, it's just because he wants to keep his hands in the eastern part of DRC. That's what he's been using proxies since 1996. So he can make sure he controls this part of our country. He doesn't have the right to think that. He doesn't have the right today to bring back the debate about colonial era. He just need to make sure he stays in the space, in the border of his country, so he can make sure he continue to lead his country. He cannot continue indefinitely to bring war in eastern part of DRC, pretending that he's protecting a community for justifying in the fact that he's continuing to steal our mineral resources so he can become richer than he used to be. But this time, with the President Tshisekedi in the front, we decide to stop him and all his adventure inside our country. I'd like to pay our gratitude to those soldiers we've been fighting to protect our countries. We need to say our compassion for those, our population, who are under occupation of Rwandan different forces currently, not only in Goma, but in some other area. The President Tshisekedi is standing to stop what is happening now. That's why he called all the Congolese all over the world to be mobilized, to stand with him, to make sure we are using all we can use to bring back peace in our countries. The first front we have here is the military front, we have a diplomatic front, we have an economic front, we have a judicial front, and we have a mediatic front, because we need to stop all those disinformation, one that keeps spreading in our ecosystem.
If you're